It's Elon from Unconventional Chess. Today we're going to be discussing the part two of the challenge that I issued on Facebook. I think it's actually the second challenge that I've issued since the original one was issued a couple months ago. And as usual, we had somebody that volunteered that was willing to take up the challenge. Now, in the first part of the challenge, I wanted to discuss a game that I actually lost, and for the first time ever in establishing the unconventional chess brand, the unconventional chess corner, whatever you want to go by, I actually lost a game to the challenger, and I thought it was a very, very unique learning experience where I was able to go and analyze what went wrong and how my opponent took advantage of it. Now, it's the same opponent actually for part two, Rim Masta, also known as William Jackson, who's a great member of our site, and he contributes a lot of very interesting things. And I know he told me to just create a post, just more or less a written analysis of the game, but I just decided to change things a bit for the second part, which is just to do a video. Let's get started. So I decided to do this really, really crazy opening called H3, which, okay, you see here. And yes, it's very, very strange opening. You don't see it in a lot of games, and I don't know of anybody who plays it, and I probably will have to go and get a membership eventually at chessgames.com where there'll be some games and I'll analyze them, but for now this is probably the first time you ever see someone playing H3 instead of, let's say, me just playing like E4. So, okay, let's get started here. H3, then flies D6. And again, I have this penchant for playing extremely crazy moves sometimes. I mean, A4, why would I do that instead of just playing, for the center, right? You just play for the center with analysis. The center with D4, right? I mean, doesn't that make a lot of sense here? D4, playing for the center, right? Maybe, I don't know, black plays knight C6, say, then I play this move C4. Okay, looks, I guess, relatively normal. But I decided to do something different, I guess when people get bored, they need a challenge, and people have challenges. So, okay, we get back to the game. E4, G6, Knight C3, Bishop G7, castles. Well, this seems like everybody's seen this in a normal book opening, right? The King's Indian, where black played G6 and Bishop G7, followed by castling. It's pretty solid. Nothing too unusual here. And based upon the amount of moves in this game, it's actually about 44 moves, and I'm going to break it down into about, let's say, 15, or actually 12 moves a section. So we're still in the opening, and I play Bishop C4, C6, B4. I like this move a lot, actually, because instead of just going straight to castles, I like the idea of exhibiting patience. And here, there's patience in this because instead of just going automatically castling and then finally figuring out what to do, I then immediately get some queenside activity, because now this pawn can advance with b5, or what I can do is, let's say, play move bishop a3, which is also very nice because then the bishop on a3 will exhibit some pressure along the a3, f8 diagonal, if I so choose to play that move. So I like it here, and that gives me a lot of flexibility. So then black plays queen b6. I don't know what purpose it serves other than just, okay, it just blocks the b pawn, and then doesn't really give black the opportunity to, say, play, I don't know, like bishop f5, or even, like, let's say, like, knight bd7, and then, playing e5 for the center. So he plays this, and then rook b1. okay. So it's a nice move, puts pressure on black's queen to take advantage. And also, we can see why b4 was such a great move was because now the pawn would be connected to the a5 pawn if I were to push a5. So that's excellent. So black plays for e5 in the center, and then I move here. And so, in fact, actually, queen b6 looks a little bit foolish because black can only retreat. He can't move anywhere around here where my mouse pointer is pointing. And that's actually what I'm going to be using most of the game, is because mouse pointer is pretty simple to use to point things out. So black can only retreat, and that's what he does. He plays queen c7, d5. Well, it's playing for the center, and will force my bishop to retreat. So I do that bishop e3. And I do this instead of bishop e2. Bishop e2 is too passive, and what this also does is that it keeps the pressure on the queen side, so that, let's say if I want to do b5, like this, then if black were to take at some point, then just the d5 pawn be undermined. So I like this move much better. It also puts pressure on black's king. So bishop e6, knight e2. Okay, well, now finally castle as white. So I think here we're now technically out of the opening. We're really heading into the middle game, because now it's going to be about the initiatives that me or Rimmaster decide to undertake, because it'll be about whether defending the center, or do I just counterattack, let's say, with c4 and play along the queen side, because the queen will be under pressure if it continues to stay on the c7 square. And we'll have to see what happens afterwards. Black plays, b6. Okay, it's interesting. I would imagine that, let's say if I were to take, then the black rook would have a very nice a-file to work with. But I don't do that. I play rook e1, h6. So now black will not have a-file to work with. How lovely. And then black pushes again to try to put pressure on the queen side, starting what we call the base of the pawn chain, because this is a pawn chain a5 and b4. So if you attack the base of the pawn chain, then the rest of the pawn chain falls, if you're not careful. So I play c5 and then bishop a3. This is sort of actually a trap if you're not careful, and the reason why is because I want to show you the analysis of it. We're going to go to the, let's make sure this is opening here. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this pause because this doesn't do anything. But if we look at the analysis, actually, one of the things that is quite interesting is if, let's say, b takes a5, then what we have is b takes c5. And what this actually does is very interesting, because, either way I could do it. I mean, b takes c5, or b takes a5 is a possibility. Or, actually not really. Okay, let's just keep it this way. Because the problem is that if black plays just knight takes c5, I could do it a couple different ways. I could do it either with knight takes e5, but the simplest way just to do it is with bishop takes e5. Because if queen takes and then just knight takes e5, and what it actually does is that it gives white the advantage, because now if black were to move, let's say, to put some pressure, like rook a c8, then white could just play d4, which is fantastic because it solidifies the outpost of knight on e5, but at the same time it blunts the ability of the bishop to have any pressure along this diagonal, because the pawn is now defended by this chain of pawns here, e3, f2, g2, h3, which gives a lot of support. And, of course, black will have to move his queen back. I don't know, let's say at queen e7. Or actually, no, that's not a good move. Queen c7 because the a pawn needs to be defended. And in that case, white could just play queen d2, and he has a really, really great game. Pawn can't be defended at all, actually, because white will just play rook takes a5 no matter what black does. And so that's why when you look at bishop a3, it's a trap where black has to be quite careful. So black does not take, but he plays c4, which I think is a nice move. And I suppose if white's not careful, I mean, this pawn could be a passer and it could be quite dangerous. So we move here. a6. It's actually a great move, and it's not apparent at first, but you will see later why it's a really great move. So black continues. Take. Now, I personally believe going to another analysis, if you look at this move, it would have been much better if black just played bishop takes d7, because it would have stopped me from advancing with b5, and at the same time, if white is not careful, black could just, play something like bishop b5 here to take the pawn on a6. So I thought I would show that. So instead, black plays knight takes d7, and then I just push. And so now the pawns are literally like a battering ram against black's queenside. So black plays knight c5, d1, rook d7. I don't know what purpose it serves. I mean, I would love to see some comments in the comments section about what you believe this might be, what the purpose is of this move, rook d7. I would be very, very interested. I don't know. So then d4. I like this because it just kicks the knight away. Because really, there's only a couple squares the black knight can move anyway. So let's say knight e4, knight f6. And I was actually kind of surprised because black did not take en passant. Instead, he just played e takes, and then knight takes. I like this much better compared to e takes d4 because I just feel like it doesn't really add a lot, and I don't feel like it really accomplishes the objectives I want. So that's why I do this. I like outposts. Outposts are always great. c3. Doesn't really serve much purpose. I mean, it looks like it's a nice move, but ultimately, it's kind of a weak pawn. Maybe rook c8. So, if you saw one of my other posts on the cutoff in the endgame, I showed it with rooks, but now we're seeing actually a combination of both the outpost and the cutoff at the same time, and it's not the overriding theme of this game, but I thought I would show you how the next move, knight c6, really exemplifies that, because this pawn is a beautiful pawn. It's a base, but also it confers a spatial advantage for white, and we see that the knight actually attributes that because the black pieces just can't move. I mean, the rook is blocked off from the action, and then the queen and the rook, it looks like, oh, they're so strong, right? They're doubled up on the c file, but they're not doing anything because the knight can never be pushed away. How lovely that is. Oh, and look at that. That's the other reason why we didn't play e takes d4 was because we see that the knight on the f file can go knight f d4, bringing a double whammy. Lovely. So bishop takes d6, queen takes, knight f2 d4. Lovely, 2 outposts. Isn't that awesome? And we see perfectly firsthand that, it is somewhat of an open game, but I guess the exception here is that the knights by white really do give space and make black's life really difficult. So then we continue. Rook dc7, and we see why c3 was not a very good move, because now, apart from the knight's just cutting off the black bishop, dark square bishop, the rook on b3 now will have a really great file to work with, and at the same time the pawn falls. Or will fall eventually, because after queen c5, queen d3, just the black pawn can no longer be defended. So bishop takes, e takes, queen retreats, lovely, and then rook takes e3. And right now, up to about move 35, we'll get into the end game. And I say end game more or less just because it's getting toward the end of the game, and it's really going to end over very quickly. So, really, I think you could say that black is in a state of Zugzwang, because well, any move that he makes is fatal, but also it's just one where black doesn't really have a lot of moves, just based on the fact that a lot of my pieces, the knight, the 2 pawns on e6 and b5, are just battering rams. I mean, they're just literally sucking down black's throat, and black is almost helpless. So bishop d7. And I don't like this move very much because it just cuts off the black rook from the 7th rank. I get the point, he wants to take the knight, but at the same time, no problemo, because the white knight can move to this beautiful e7 square knight, e7 check, which also forks the black rook. So that's the other reason why the move was not good, because fork. Takes. I mean, I'll allow you just to, like, analyze the endgame from here. I don't want to explain every single move, but because I'd like the reader to be able to go and kind of see for himself where, you know, he would lead the position, and you know, that would give me some nice insight. And the game just continues, just with c3, which gives the white pawn on d4 just a very nice support base. So, check. Probably another reason why queen a3 was a little bit of a blunder, because it's cut off in the game, to a certain extent. And we see here that the threat is just to play rook takes e6, and I'm not even sure black can do anything about it. Save it for if we go to an analysis. What can black do against this threat of rook takes e6? Well, he could just do king to g8, but that doesn't do anything because they're just queen d8 check. And then if king g7, then we just have queen e7, and that makes black's life incredibly difficult, because if the bishop were just to retreat, I don't know, let's say like bishop c8, say, then just queen takes a7, which is really good for white, because now, if just queen takes c3, then rook e7 is just incredibly strong. As pawn f7 is threatened, and it can't even be defended, because if just bishop e6, then we have this pin issue, rook takes e6. And then going back, okay, where were we at with this? It's, yeah, queen takes b5, and then the guard against this threat with here, we just play king g8, or, okay, hold on a second. Queen 5 check, king h6, g7. Yeah, so then you go back to the analysis. Let's say if the black bishop were to move, I don't know, just anywhere really, the queen takes f7 check. So here, check, and that's mate for black next move after rook e8. So black can't do that. The other move that he can just play is, let's say, king to h8, which, again, just does not do anything because of check. Then we just get to the same thing, king g7, queen e7, and then the black bishop has to move again, and then queen takes a7. So Getting back to the game, black just takes the pawn. I don't know whether or not you saw this pin, but rook takes e6. And here is where black resigns. I thought it was an enormously instructive game, actually, because this Clemenz opening proves that it's incredibly versatile, and it's also a very viable opening that white can play in his repertoire. And I think that if you play h3 many of your games, you will see a lot of very interesting results. It's what I call one of those quiet like a tiger openings, because the tiger is very quiet into the field, and you may think that's not that dangerous. It just is a subtle opening, doesn't do anything, until you pounce. And the pouncing begins right to where we get to bishop takes d7. So it's actually not until move 19 where we really see the effects of this h3, where white can finally go and make his mark and take the initiative. And then the other lesson to really learn from this is when we go back to, yes, actually move 26, knight c6, the power of the outpost and the power of why certain pieces can be a battering ram on the opponent. Knights are an especially great example because you see here that the black's queen and rook are just totally cut off from the pawn and just really have no power at all. Bark but no bite. And these other pawns on a6 and b5 also play the really great supporting role of being battering rams, because now the black queenside pawns cannot advance or play any sort of battering roles themselves, or even a supporting role for black's pieces. And I think based upon those lessons, it will be very instructive for you to apply them to your games, where the battering ram and the cutoff are beautiful when they work together. And I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you have any comments, questions, or feedback that you would like to share about my analysis, please feel free to do so in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to answer them and be of help to anybody who wishes some assistance. Take care, everybody, and I hope you really enjoyed this game. Bye.